Hello and welcome to Grouchy Geeks episode 17. My name's Steve, my co-host is Scott.
Hello.
This September episode, we're going to start with some news and reviews, and then for our main feature, we're going to talk about the Netflix Marvel series Defenders. Now, we know that some people haven't seen all of it, so we'll do a section at the front. We'll have non-spoilers, and then we'll give you plenty of warning to say thereafter. We'll be talking about spoilers, so you just have to fast forward the last little bit. But we'll get to that later. But before all of that, it's time for a fitness update.
Oh,
how's it been going?
I'm coming. I have no honour.
Shame. Do I have to get the bell out of shame and start ringing it?
Shame on me. So yeah, it's been really. I've just kind of stopped. I know it's terrible. There's no excuse. I can't hide it. I can't. I'm not even doing a level of exercise that I can dress up. I can't. There's no spin that I can put on it at the moment. So that's the bad news. But I know that I definitely need to get back into it. So before we started recording, I was saying that I now live about 10 miles away from where I work, and I've actually been toying with the idea of beginning to cycle in.
Ooh, right.
So I'm not brave enough to attempt it. I've got a bike, but I'm not brave enough to start tomorrow, right? Because I'm not sure if I'll get tired out. That's sufficient excuse to call the AA to tow me the rest of the way. So I'm going to start cycling at weekends, just I think to kind of gain the confidence that I can actually do it, and then start to think about cycling in, because it's not likely to take much longer, I don't think, because traffic's quite bad and all those sorts of things, and it's kind of a way of introducing exercise without me having to make the decision to go out to the gym or anything like that. So it's almost like exercise for free, if you know what I mean, because I'm exercising as I'm doing something that I'm doing already. So that's looking to the future. But for the moment, I have no honour.
Well, mine's gone in the other opposite direction in some ways.
Oh wow! Okay.
So I was running indoors in the garage on a running machine and stuff, and I've started running outdoors recently. And the sidekicks are keeping me honest because they told me to get on the same app as them, so they can see when I log a run, how fast my splits are between each kilometre, and this sort of thing. And there's a nature reserve right by where I live. So once I get clear of the road, it's just forest and trees and canal. It's really peaceful. And I've been running about 3.5 kilometre circuit, and I was getting better and better. And then I put out my knee, which in July, which is annoying. And then I went on holiday and recovered. And then I've carried on, and now I'm up to 4 kilometres and getting quite good at that. Also this week, I just did something totally random and bizarre, but someone said, do you want to go and do it? And we thought about it and said, yeah, okay. So there's a guy who used to be a wrestler in the WWE.
Oh, I like where this is heading.
Yeah, so it's old school, probably more your generation and mine of wrestler, called Diamond Dallas Page. This is back in the 90s. And he started wrestling when he was, I think, 37 or 38. And he also said, don't be ridiculous. You need to start in your 20s. You can't do this. You can't do that. He eventually, long story short, he went on to become world heavyweight champion, create a massive following, millions of followers around the world and all the rest of it. But his body was completely beat up from years in the ring. And he developed his own kind of yoga system to help his body recover, where it's low impact on your joints, so it's not putting great pressure on you, but it increases your core strength, your balance, and it's just good exercise. And if you do it regularly, you'll lose weight as well and get increased flexibility. And we've got the DVDs, and we just put them on the TV, and you do them at home. You just need a towel and, a mat, and that's it. So I've been doing it off and on for about 2 years, and a few months ago he announced he was coming to the UK to do like a tour of talks and live sessions. So me and 2 friends this weekend just gone did a live session with him in London.
Amazing.
125 of us in a sports centre in London did a live 3-hour session with him. So it was like a talk and then demo, and then we did like a training session with him. So for years I've watched him do it on the TV, on my DVD, on the kind of USB MP3s, and then and now I got him to do it in front of me.
So is he like gentle and serene and calming, or is he like going, come on? Is he like doing the wrestler thing for exercise?
Well, no, he's quite good actually. He's it's one of these things where it's all about, you can modify it to make it your own. And there's loads of amazing success stories online about this, how it's changed people's lives, where a guy who couldn't really walk without crutches and the doctors couldn't help and everybody else, and they said, well, you can't really do much, you just have to get by. And now this guy lost a ton of weight and he can run, and he can stretch one leg over the top of his head. There's people who've lost like 15 stone doing this system. Jake the Snake Roberts, if you've never seen The Resurrection of Jake the Snake Roberts, it's on Netflix, you should definitely go and watch it, because his body was completely, and is still completely knackered. He's alcoholic, he was doing drugs, and he had like no mobility. And he was at the sort of bottom of the barrel, and DDP got in contact with him and said, right, come stay with me, and we're going to get you fitter and healthy. And he starts doing this system stuff as well, and it just completely changes his whole life. And he gets another one of his friends who called Scotty Hall, is in wrestling, name was Razor Ramon. This guy was in a wheelchair, and when they rang him, he said, Scott's just bought a gun. So it was like, he's really on the edge, and he came as well and stayed with DDP, and so it's fantastic, this kind of stuff. It's just, for me, I didn't want to lose a massive amount of weight. I wanted to stay healthy and stay fit and look after my back, because I'm so tall, I need to make sure it's well protected. So I definitely recommend it. I do it just, keep the flexibility up, because we are grouchy old geeks after all.
Yeah, and we want to stay that way.
This is it. So, yeah. But yes, that was my crazy kind of week of doing that and running. Yeah, it was fantastic.
Yeah, I feel justifiably humiliated.
Well, you could do it too. You could do it at home. Then you don't have to go out anywhere. You just do it at home in the privacy of your own home. If you fall over, no one can see you, as I often do. Yeah.
Cool.
Right. Should we get on with some news?
Yeah. So I'm gonna start by talking about a close friend of the show and your co-host on Bags of Action, Pete Rogers, who I think. Did it come out yesterday or today? So yesterday we got to see Pete's. I think I'm right in saying his professional screenwriting debut, which you can go out and see on iPlayer, called Packaged.
That's right. So this was a competition Pete was sort of entered, and his script was shortlisted, and then they went and sort of workshopped it, a bunch of them, in Cardiff, and then a selection of them were actually made and filmed around Cardiff a couple of weeks ago, and Pete went along on set one day to see it being made.
Awesome. Yeah, so it's only 10 minutes long, but you can, if you listen to Bags of Action, and if you don't, you should, then you can go and see Pete's short film, and it's fantastic. I really enjoyed it. I watched it just before we started recording, and it was great. I don't want to spoil too much about it, because kind of it's designed to keep you guessing right up to the end, and it's great. I really enjoyed it, so I thought he deserved that plug, because ideally we want to, obviously with our listeners, we could send millions of hits his way, and then it's only a matter of time before he gets his own show commissioned as showrunner. He could be the Joss Whedon of BBC Wales. well.
Maybe. Let's fingers crossed. Let's shoot higher. Maybe he'll become even bigger.
Yeah. I didn't know he went and workshopped it. I hope he was insufferable at the workshop, like demanding lattes and things like that all the time.
I think he sort of met with a writer and a producer and a couple of other people. They sort of talked him through it and gave him notes, and he went away and worked on it and then came back and stuff. But there you go. So my first bit of news. We don't normally talk about awards, and to be honest, most of the time I don't really give too much of a crap about them. However, the 2017 Emmys have just finished, and they just announced all the winners and stuff the other day. And the reason I wanted to mention them is that if it wasn't already apparent, this made it even more so. Not only have Geeks won, ruling the world, they now rule on TV as well, because you had shows like Westworld, Stranger Things, Game of Thrones, The Handmaid's Tale, Black Mirror. All of these were nominated or they won an Emmy because they're just some of the best television being made at the moment.
Yeah, it was incredible. It was a clean sweep, and then I'll add to that is Black Mirror as well, Charlie Brooker's show, which won for one particular episode, and yeah, like you're saying, so it's a clean sweep. So never has television been better, and never have I had so much trouble keeping up with it all.
It's true. Charlie Brooker won for the episode San Junipero, which I really, really like actually. And when he got back up, he sort of said, hate won't win, love will win. So with that in mind, I think if everybody in the audience, all of these powerful people here, were to start making love to each other or to yourself, the world would be a better place. And he waited a couple of seconds and went, oh, suit yourselves then. Just walked off.
Yeah, I do love Charlie Brooker. I think he's amazing.
So yeah, Handmaid's Tale won a couple, Black Mirror won. It's just fantastic. There's so much TV, as you said. It's a complete feast at the moment. It's so difficult to keep up.
Yeah, we're in our own little WhatsApp group, me, you, and a bunch of a select group of podcasters. And then one of them said yesterday, "Who's watching Tin Star? It's amazing." I was like, "I've not even heard of that." It's not. I've now got to the point where not only can I not keep up with all the things that I want to watch, there's stuff that's coming out that's really good that I've not even heard of on that behind the curve.
Yeah.
Oh,
crazy.
But one thing that I have been keeping up with,
go on,
2 episodes in, is the Orville.
Okay, so we talked about this last episode where we had concerns about Star Trek Discovery.
Yeah.
We were both positive and optimistic about the Orville. So having watched 2 episodes, what do you think?
I love it. I think it's absolutely great.
So is it a comedy or is it a drama?
It has comedic moments in it,
right.
but the trailer is very misleading. So if you watch the trailer, I think you'll come away with the impression that it's going to be like Galaxy Quest, which is kind of like a comedic rip-off of Star Trek.
Yeah.
Whereas this isn't that. This is essentially Seth MacFarlane, who's a massive Star Trek fan, wanting to do his own version of Star Trek. And there is comedy in it, and the comedy is very well done. But Seth MacFarlane being Seth MacFarlane, but the emphasis and the focus isn't on the comedy by any means. And I think I just probably think Fox, knowing who Seth MacFarlane was, decided to basically advertise it as if it was going to be this out and out comedy, and it's not that at all. But it's great. The first episode, so normally like when we think about things like The Next Generation or Deep Space Nine and things like that, they normally start out with like a feature-length episode, so like 2 episodes back to back. And this didn't do that. So they kind of had 40 minutes to introduce the characters and then kind of have a bit of a plot going on. So the first episode is very shallow, because they spend 20 minutes getting the people onto the spaceship, and then they try and do something really quick for 20 minutes. So it's kind of not. So the sci-fi aspect of it isn't all that great, I didn't think, in the first episode. But in the second episode, now they're on the ship and they're flying around the universe. It was great. I can't criticise it at all. It's funny where it needs to be funny. It's dramatic where it needs to be dramatic. It looks fantastic. It's got a great cast. And, you know, if I'm the biggest Star Trek fan out there, but if you look at what The Next Generation was like for the first few episodes, this is way better than the first few episodes of The Next Generation was. So, yeah, I really think it's great. I'm really looking forward to seeing more, and I hope it's a success. It actually so far it has been a real success. It's one of Fox's biggest drama openings in quite some time. So some of the critical reviews of it haven't been great, but it looks like people are coming out and watching it, so that's really good.
Okay, well, hopefully Fox won't cancel it after 5 episodes like they do with other stuff.
Yeah, let's keep our fingers crossed.
Yeah.
And so one of the things that's annoyed me about Discovery is so Discovery. So diversity is a good thing. I think we can all agree with that. But it irritates me slightly when you get shows or comics or books or whatever coming out that's trying to ram it down your throat. It's like, oh, look how diverse we are. You know, oh, aren't we brilliant? We've got all this diversity going on, and it to me it detracts from trying to do that by organisations saying just like trying to shout it from the rooftops. And Star Trek Discovery has done that to a very high degree, saying about how brilliant and groundbreaking they are to have like an openly gay character in there, and things like that. So not a spoiler, but there's a same-sex relationship in the Orville. Yeah. And they just don't make a big deal about it. And that's kind of the right way to do it, right? Rather than just, virtue signal about how fantastic and progressive you are. So, brilliant start. As of today, of the day of recording, I think it's 4 more days until Discovery comes out. And then I'm guessing it's probably 5 days until we can get to see it on Netflix. So, fingers crossed. The fact that CBS hasn't let any critics watch it isn't a great sign. But I'm still hoping it's good.
Yeah, I want it to be really good. They're going to split it in terms of we'll get so many episodes this side of Christmas and we'll stop. And I suspect the UK and everybody else will be allowed to catch up because obviously America's shown first, and then we get the rest next year, early January or something like that. But it should be fine.
I'm keeping my fingers crossed. I really want it to be a success. I really like the Orville. I want to really like Star Trek Discovery, and just have 2 shows like that on when it's been so long since the last sort of big over the top space opera. Yeah.
So, a couple of interesting bits. The Terminator franchise has gone through a few different films, good and bad. I didn't actually mind the most recent one. Some people seem to have hated it. They spoiled a lot of it with the trailers and things, which wasn't a good move.
Yeah.
However, the rights have reverted back to James Cameron, and he's already working on, or he has planned out, a new trilogy that carries on from, in theory, the end of Terminator 2 Judgment Day.
Cool.
Arnie's already said he's on board to come back, and here's the real kind of kicker. So Cameron has said he wants Linda Hamilton back as well,
which is brilliant, because one of the brilliant things about Terminator and Terminator 2 is the transformation that you see in Linda Hamilton from being sort of the I'm trying to think how to put this, the sort of screaming girl that needs to be rescued in the first film, or at least at the beginning of the first film, into this sort of militia survivalist by the second film, because our eyes have been opened about what's to come, and to actually continue to see that transition, and sort of visit her again, decades later, and see what she's become, would be fantastic. It'd be interesting to see how they deal with it, though, because I can't remember when Skynet did take over. It was at least 5 years ago, wasn't it? Was it or 10 years ago? I can't remember the date. I can't remember the date when Skynet actually took over. But we're well into the apocalypse by now.
Yeah, I think he basically wants to he wants to have her as a seasoned warrior to show what she's like now as a 50, 60-year-old woman. But I think he's doing the clever thing in that some franchises, when they turn the handle and want to bring it back or bring out a new one, you get the crap ones who reboot it, show no loyalty or no nods or anything to what came before, crap all over it and ignore it and reboot it, and it comes out a mess 9 times out of 10. Then you get the smart ones who tie it back from Star Wars to other things. He's doing the same sort of thing. He said that whilst Arnie and Linda Hamilton are going to be in it, one of the main characters is going to be a much younger woman who will be the central figure. So you'll have new characters plus the old characters to continue the franchise, and this is how you do it. So he's planned out the trilogy that are going to have standalone movies that will build into an overarching story, is what he said. And they're already lining up people to get on board to write it. So it sounds like, this is not some one of these pie in the sky things when they go, oh, yeah, it might happen. It's like, no, he's been waiting for this for a while. It's going, it's happening. And I'm really looking forward to it. I think he's had the best grasp of it since the beginning. I know it's gone to people since, and I did enjoy the Sarah Connor Chronicles TV show, but to see him doing it again, that would be fantastic.
Yeah, and he doesn't know how to tell a brilliant story. And one of the things that I love about him as well is the sequels that he does really add stuff to the franchise. So the difference between Alien and Aliens is they're movies in two different genres, even though they're kind of rehashing a lot of old ground. And then the difference between Terminator and Terminator 2 is huge as well. Like, he doesn't just try and do the same thing again. He really he does a great job at exploring the universes that he's created. So yeah, fantastic, brilliant that they're both on board. Kind of. So the Arnie thing, I do love Arnie, but the whole being a robot and the whole fact that he's in his 60s now is kind of
there's a story as well, because someone mentioned they raised something with him and he sort of dodged it, but not really. Like, they asked him the question, they said, why was Arnie chosen? Why that particular model of person? Why him? And he said, yeah, there's an interesting story there. Why would they pick him? So it makes you wonder if you're going to have like a flashback to before the war, where you've got a human person that they then use as the model for the team.
Yeah, that would be cool.
As Arnie, and then have that man as an older person who's then Arnie as he is in his current age. It just makes you wonder, So yeah, very excited. Anyway, go on, your next bit of news.
Awesome. So I don't have much more because I've been desperately trying to catch up with the Defenders. So the only thing, I'm super excited about Blade Runner coming out. There's been loads of clips that have now been put up online on YouTube, including the opening 5 minutes, and it all looks great to me. So I'm feeling like crazy excited about it. And as we know, so the original Blade Runner was set in 2019. This is set in 2049, but they're doing a set of short films to bridge that gap. They're not going to be out before the movie, but one of them is... So I used to be really into anime. I haven't watched it for a while, but one of my favourite animes was Cowboy Bebop.
Right.
And the creator of that is doing one of these Blade Runner short films to fill in the gap. And I'm really excited about it. It would be great to see like an anime version of Blade Runner from one of the big geniuses behind anime.
Yeah. Okay. I'm still nervous about the film. I'm going to go and see it. But I don't know. It's going to change how I see the first film, and it will have repercussions, and I can't just ignore it if it changes what they say about Deckard. So, but anyway, we'll find out in a few weeks' time.
I think Dennis Villeneuve will be sensible enough to dodge the entire issue about whether Deckard's a replicant or not.
Given that everybody disagrees on that, including the director and the actor.
Yeah, and the director with himself, depending on when you see him interviewed. So I think the only way to keep everybody happy is to make it remain ambiguous. Because otherwise somebody's going to be out to get him. Don't know which side it's going to be yet, but
someone will. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I don't think he can give it away. It's just too much. There's too much baggage associated with it now.
Yeah. I mean, the next few months, the end of this year, there's so much good stuff coming out. So we've got the Punisher TV series coming to Netflix soon. Next month at the end, so we've got Star Trek Discovery. Then next month, Stranger Things Season 2 debuts on October the 27th.
Crazy.
So for the next 5 days after that, or the next 3 days, I'm just going to be mainlining Stranger Things. I'm just going to be like 8 or 10 episodes or whatever it is. Just put another one on. I'll sleep in a few days' time. I'll just keep watching. I'm just going to sit up and watch for like 10 hours straight.
Yeah.
Be convinced I'm in the upside down myself and I'll come out the other side. But they're releasing images and they're releasing some sort of snippets, no clips, but they're talking about it. Now, the danger is, what they're talking about is that they might try and do season 3 and 4 back to back. That's what they want to do, only because the actors are growing up too fast. Mm-hmm. But apparently the Duffer Brothers and others have pushed back and said, we can't really do that. It'll put too much pressure on the writers and you end up with something crap. The whole point is to take time. So I think the only way they're going to get around it is if they do a time jump to kind of explain why the actors suddenly look 2 years older, because they are 4 years older.
Yeah, and the problem is they're all at an age where those differences happen very rapidly. Like it's going to be a tough thing to do. They should just say it jumps to, we should see them, at college in the next season or something like that. Actually, just embrace the fact that they're getting older.
I think they're going to have to. I mean, there's only so many baggy clothes and, wigs and makeup you can do to cover.
Yeah.
Eventually they're going to grow into their adult bodies and it's like, now you can't cover that up. Just play the fact that they are that age, which I think is fine. I think it works, and rather than trying to bend it and make it really silly. But anyway, we've got that. We've got Thor Ragnarok coming up. Mm-hmm. We've got the new Star Wars film in December.
Yeah.
We are so spoiled. So spoiled.
I know, it's just crazy, isn't it? This is just the next few months. This is just the run up to Christmas.
Best Christmas ever is we have a break from TV. You can watch and catch up. What do you want for Christmas? Nothing. Just time so I can sit, Peace. Watch and catch up on stuff.
Yeah.
That's all I'm after. That's it for Christmas. Oh, one bit of trivia I noticed on Star Trek Discovery. They've said one episode is going to visit the Mirror Universe.
Brilliant.
Which I don't know. Given that from what we've seen of the trailers and so on, it looks like they're doing an overarching story this year.
Yeah.
In this completely what they've not done before in any other Star Trek show. Mm-hmm. That's what they've said. So how they're going to crowbar the Mirror Universe in, I don't know. I don't know. See, it sounds like they're trying to do a lot of things, and that kind of concerns me.
We just have to stay positive. We just have to hang in there. Yeah, I reckon it's going to be... I'm still feeling positive about it. And I love the Mirror Universe. One of my big disappointments about Star Trek The Next Generation is they never did a Mirror Universe episode.
No, they didn't. No, but there are plenty of kind of evil versions of people and people being taken over their bodies by strange aliens that made them terrifying in one episode. First time ever.
They did it brilliantly in Deep Space Nine, and they did it brilliantly in Enterprise as well, where they changed the whole of the opening credits, which was fantastic.
Yes, I remember that.
Yeah, but I like the Mirror Universe. I'm a fan of the Mirror Universe. You can tell that they're evil because they all get goatees.
It's true.
Yeah,
it's true. IDW doing some great kind of Mirror Universe comics now with the next gen. So you've got Captain Picard, who's kind of all muscly, and he's got a goatee. Mm-hmm. Data's looks a bit different. It all looks very, very interesting. Very interesting. My last thing, are you going to go and see it at the cinema?
I don't think so.
Is it your kind of film, or are you like me, no power on this earth?
I'm not. I'm kind of. The thing that's interesting about it is for people that are kind of our age.
Yeah.
I think we all have very fond memories of the TV show. Maybe you don't.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, and if you watch it back now, it's a little bit dated, a little bit cheesy. But if you were just kind of the right age for it, Pennywise was fantastic. I've actually been watching some YouTube videos of Tim Curry, who's now in a wheelchair and is quite badly disabled, but talking hilariously about his time working on it. And I think just because I have such fondness for the original, I'd actually quite like to see what they've done with this version. But it's not something that interests me enough to want to go to the cinema to see it at all. But it does look good. I mean, the trailer for it looks pretty good, I think. It's had a huge opening, hasn't it?
Yeah, it looks pretty terrifying. And here's the interesting thing. The film is only half of the book.
Yeah. Because the book they do, and in the TV show, you see them. It follows them as kids, and then it follows them as adults, doesn't it? And I think we just get the kids in the first movie.
Yeah.
But it's had the highest opening. I think has it not overtaken Deadpool as like the highest R-rated opening of all time?
Not sure.
Maybe I'm
very well.
It's broken. It's definitely broken some records like that. So yeah, been doing brilliantly. I will get around to watching it, but I'm still only going to see. I can't remember if I said this. I found a really good cinema nearby. Yeah,
Boy, don't go in there.
Exactly. Yeah, there's no riffraff there, so I'm more willing to go.
You have your beer. You have some food.
Yep.
Yeah.
Surrounded by similarly grumpy people to me.
Excellent.
So I'm going to the cinema more, but I'm not going to go and see it. Last thing I saw was Dunkirk, which I thought was amazing. It's just brilliant. This is Christopher Nolan's World War II epic. Just brilliantly done. You know, it's well known for the fact that almost all of it was done practically. You know, there's very little CGI in there, and they actually had, ships and Spitfires and explosions and things like that, and it absolutely shows. It's brilliant, so gripping, such a fantastic film. But yeah, I'm not going to go and see it. I'm going to skip that, and I'd like to go and see Valerian. That might be the next one.
The last film I saw, I managed to get. I thought it had finished the cinema, but then got to see Spider-Man: Homecoming. I managed to grab a viewing of it. So
yeah, I didn't get to see it. I'd like to see it. I'd like to see it though. It does look good to me.
Yeah, I think it's going to be Blade Runner next. Has to be.
Yeah.
Okay, right. Let's go on to the main.
Welcome back. For our main feature, we're going to be talking about the mini-series from Netflix, The Defenders. And this has been a long time coming with the build-up. So The Defenders features some of our favourite Marvel heroes, plus Danny Rand. In a long, we've been waiting for this a long time. So first we had Daredevil, then we had Jessica Jones, then Luke Cage, and then Iron Fist. Disappointed everybody, and now they've all come together in this Defenders miniseries. And first of all, before we talk about it, I was trying to think on the way home whether there's been anything like this in the past. Where, we've had shows that have occasionally done like little crossovers like Angel and Buffy and things like that. But can you recall a time when it's been done to this extent?
No, the closest thing is the DC have done it in the Arrow universe, where you had Arrow, Supergirl, and the Flash crossover, and Legends. Sorry, so 4 shows crossing over, but you get maybe an episode in each. And it's all very much one story, but it's. I'm just going to say the Marvel version is done better because it's a more cohesive thing, and actually there's less characters, which makes it better because you can spend more time with them. Whereas the big DC character crossovers, I'm not kidding, you've got probably like 14 characters, and there's no way you can get characters on that scale. So,
and not only that, Marvel are playing the long game as well. Yeah. This miniseries with everybody together was planned and was being developed back in 2013 before any of these things had even been cast. So this has been a long time coming. It's not something that's been done on a whim. This is they've been sort of building to this moment. So what did you think to it?
So we should say we'll do this bit at the front where we're not going to spoil stuff, and then when we talk about spoilers, we'll let you know. Mm-hmm. So generally, I thought it was really, really good. I was really, really pleased with it. I was nervous, the fact that you've got 4 very different characters, and I don't know how they're going to work together. And also, you've got 4 very different styles of show in a way, because they all had a very distinct flavour.
Yeah.
And I've got the comic book versions of the characters in my head as well, and how they interact, and it's obviously different to what's on the TV show, but overall I was really pleased with it. What about you?
I thought it was really well done. I really liked it. I know I made a little bit of a joke at the beginning about Danny Rand, Iron Fist, because I think out of Marvel's complete output, the thing that I enjoyed the least was the Iron Fist series, but I think it completely redeemed him. I actually feel it makes me actually want to go back and watch Iron Fist again, because I think they dealt with him really well. So I loved it. I thought it was great. It took me maybe an episode or so to really get into it, but I thought it was brilliantly done. I wasn't even aware of who was going to be playing the main bad guy at the beginning, so that took me completely by surprise, which I thought was fantastic. I'm guessing it's not too much of a spoiler to say.
It's not a spoiler.
Yeah, so actually we see this person in the very, very opening scene. This is the first person that you see in the entire series, so it isn't a spoiler to say that the main antagonist is played by Sigourney Weaver, doing a fantastic job.
Yeah, we'd heard about it. We didn't know who she was playing, and then when she turns up on screen, you're like, "What?" She was really, really good. She was quite a steady influence. You had a lot of crazy stuff going on around her with various superpowers, as it were, street level as they are. They're still powers, but she was a very grounding influence, which I think really helped. I also think the fact that it was only 8 episodes meant they had to keep it really lean. Some of the other shows felt bloated even at 13. It felt like 12 or 13. It felt like there was a bit of padding. Like Cage could have been tighter by a couple, I think. Iron Fist seemed to go on far too long.
Yeah.
Jessica Jones, that actually pacing wise, that was quite good, and Daredevil I had no complaints. But this worked. You kept it 8. You kept it tight. You had to move on quickly. And it also saw the return of one of my favourite characters. There again, it's not a spoiler because he's been in the trailers and stuff, but the return of the actor Scott Glenn.
Yes.
Phenomenal. He was so good in Daredevil, and then in this, every time he's on screen, him and Charlie Cox, I mean, you believe they hate each other. You just believe it. They're so good. They do so little, and yet it's the way they hold themselves, the way they kind of look at each other, but they're not really because they're both blind. Absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, he's so brilliant as Stick. Such a great performance. In fact, great performances all around. And like I say, some of the things I didn't enjoy so much in the other shows made me want to go. It makes me want to go back and watch it all right from the beginning again. Start from episode 1 of Daredevil.
Do it.
Yeah, yeah. If only they weren't producing shows faster than I could watch them, I probably would.
Yeah, that's fair enough. So having now watched everything, who's your favourite, or who was your favourite after this?
I think my favourite has always been Luke Cage. I think that's out of all of the shows, that was the one. That was the one show that I enjoyed the most. There seemed to be the most depth to it. It seemed to have the most interesting characters to me. Unfortunately, out of all of the characters, so Daredevil, Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, and Iron Fist, he's the one that kind of has the least to do, which is a little bit of a shame. He's still my favourite, but I kind of felt that he was a little bit more in the background. It feels, in a lot of ways, it's kind of Iron Fist show a little bit, and then sort of slightly secondary to that is Daredevil, but then Luke Cage kind of feels like he's bringing up the rear. I don't know if you felt like he was a bit underused.
I think I don't know if he's underused, because you had the storyline to do with him and Misty and how he got involved. It's not a spoiler to say that there's a big threat to New York, and the four of them are all fighting it in their own separate ways, and at some point they all cross over and realise that they're fighting the same war. His story of how he got involved was what we've seen from the TV show. It was just more of the same, as it were. You've got some good character development to do with him and Claire. You had some good stuff with him and Misty. He was like a stable force, because with all the weird stuff going on, and if you count the number of times, every time Danny Rand says, "I'm the immortal Iron Fist, take a drink," you'd be smacked.
yeah, that was getting on my nerves a little bit towards the end.
But equally, you have Luke Cage going, "The what?" And, he's that sort of sanity check that, despite the fact he's got unbreakable skin and he's really, really strong, when they start talking about dragons and hidden cities, he just kind of goes, "What? Really? Well, okay, sure." Because he just doesn't believe them. He believes what he can see and what he can feel, and saving kids, that's what's important to him. Saving Harlem. They're going on about all sorts of weird shit. And like he says, I'm playing along because ultimately they're trying to help people and save the city, and that's why I'm here. They can believe what they want to believe.
Yeah.
I'm working with them for my own reasons. So he may have had slightly less to do, perhaps, than Daredevil and Iron Fist. Daredevil because of the connections to the villains, and the same for him. But yeah, so maybe Jessica Jones and him had slightly less to do than the other two.
But still great.
Oh yeah.
I mean, still brilliant performances. I found Jessica Jones very funny. Just the constant drinking that she was doing, and even before they were about to go into battle and face off, she's chugging a beer just to kind of take the edge off a little bit before she gets started.
But she steals it off a homeless man on the on the tray, and she's just like, sees him unconscious, takes one of his cans and just drinks it. Because it's been a long week.
Yeah, there's loads of little nice character touches like that from all of them. Yeah. One of the things that's great about them is they are all such different characters, and all relate to each other in completely different ways. And like you say, it's interesting how they've managed to fuse them all together, because all of those shows did feel really, really different. Not just in terms of the themes, but the way that they were shot, the lighting. But they did a great job of bringing them all together, and it feeling sort of natural and normal, and not like contrived or forced in any way.
Yeah. They organic. Perhaps it was a little slow at the beginning because they didn't want to just have the four of them turn up a room and go, "Right, we're going to work together. Yeah, go team." And Jessica doesn't want to work in a team. It's not her kind of thing. Equally, Matt doesn't want to do it either, because he says, "I've got people to protect." Because at the beginning he's wearing the kind of scarf over his face, and she says, "You look ridiculous." And he's like, "Yeah, well, it's your scarf." But he's doing it because he wants to keep. He's seen what happens when other people around him get hurt. He saw it in Daredevil when Foggy and Karen get caught up in it, when other people get injured. And he doesn't, and Claire as well, he doesn't want that to happen. So he's very against getting involved to begin with them. he only kind of agrees when sort of Jessica talks to him, and he realizes that actually he needs to work with them. It's better than all working separately and just making no progress.
Yeah, and there's lots of interesting discussions, amongst his friends about that, because they realise what he's beginning, he's going back into his old ways, and it's all, they're almost treating him like he's an addict.
Yeah.
Because one accuses the other of sort of enabling him and encouraging this to happen when they should be stopping it, and the way that the characters interact is excellent, both with people from their own show and from the people in the other franchises as well. The way that they get combined together is very good, because we're not just talking about these 4 characters coming together.
Yeah.
There's lots of you've already mentioned Stick, but there's lots of supporting cast from all of these 4 shows who also cross paths with each other as well. And even all the secondary stuff is done really, really excellently.
It's true. And did you notice there's a character that turns up in this show as well? I think he's the only one who's been in all 4 shows and the Defenders. Do you know who I'm talking about?
No, I don't.
You can't remember when he turned up? He's in Daredevil. Yeah, I think he's in all of them.
I remember. I'm annoyed now because I remember we've had this discussion before about this character that keeps showing up, and I still can't remember.
It's Turk.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
So Turk, for those who don't know, is a low-level kind of criminal. He's not very good. He really tries, but he's not particularly brilliant. Mm-hmm. In Daredevil, he busts him for selling guns and helping smuggle women. Jessica Jones deals with him. Luke Cage deals with him. And then in The Defenders, he sees him again, and he needs information. And the first person he goes to is Turk. And that's when he kind of smashes a beer barrel that starts spraying him. He's saying, if you give me some bad information, I'll be back. And he's like, oh, God, I don't want you to come back. Yes, Turk Barrett, played by the actor Rob Morgan. He's fantastic. He's just so good.
And it's great when they do, little touches like that.
Yeah. He's in everything, though. He's in Stranger Things as one of the deputies as well. It's just that actor must be having so much fun. He's like, oh, no, not again. Turk's back.
So, are we at the point where we need to start moving into spoilers a little bit?
Yes, I think so. We kind of talked around the show a bit. I think we're going to have to start talking about spoilers. Mm-hmm. So if you've not seen Defenders and you don't want stuff spoiled, fast forward and join us next month for more. Mm-hmm. So this is your warning. Spoilers ahead. Spoilers.
Nicely done.
Okay. So, spoil away. Go on. So this isn't much of a spoiler. We'll start gently because this is kind of the opening of the show. But I actually really like the way they introduce Sigourney Weaver. So she starts out actually quite vulnerable. So she's in the doctor's surgery. We find out that she's got some sort of terminal illness. Her organs are failing, and that's kind of what kicks things off, because she knows she doesn't have that much time left. It's time to sort of start escalating things, and her henchmen are warning her that maybe you shouldn't be doing things so quickly, and she's like, no, it's time to do it now. And that's what starts everything off. But then it's really nice that they then tie that back into the fact that they've been taking this serum, the last of which was used to, even though in spoilers I'm not going to say the name yet, but is used to resurrect a particularly important person to the story. Yeah. And I really thought that was great, that they actually started, they started the reveal of kind of the main villain, or maybe not the main villain, but a big villain in the show, from sort of a point of weakness, even though she still comes across as incredibly strong and intelligent and powerful. It was a way of sort of making you feel sympathetic for somebody that you really shouldn't feel that sympathetic towards. Yes, you can see very clearly her motives for what she's doing, mm-hmm. and the fact that she believes in, she's a figure of belief. The others doubt her all the way through, and she's made a great sacrifice in what she's done. at their cost and her own personal cost, because she could have used the substance to keep herself healthy, but she didn't. She chose not to because she believed so much that this other character would be the future. So she was partially right, I guess.
Yeah, and that is also interesting that they're not. They just haven't picked an enemy that's just out and out evil and is just purely trying to take over the world. What she's doing on ideological grounds. That there's a strong belief system behind what she's doing, and she thinks she's doing it for the best in terms of her own sort of warped interpretation.
Yes, she wants to. They talk about cities falling all the time. It's happened many times in the past. It's just a city. You'll get used to it because they've all lived for so long. But they understand it's a necessary part of the cycle. So there again, they don't see it as it's the end of everything and we want to destroy the world. They don't. Their goal is life itself, as they keep saying. That's their mantra. And it ties in quite nicely to Colleen Wing and her story, because she was raised essentially in a cult and taught that what they're doing was for the good of people until she leaves and realizes that they're all evil, and yet they still kind of talk to her. And even her old mentor says, look, it hasn't changed. I still want you to by my side because what we're doing is still for the good of the people. They believe so much. It's only her that's been able to see through the bullshit to realize what they're doing. Other people, including her, would see as evil,
Yeah, absolutely, and they do all that in a way that actually makes you feel sympathetic, kind of sympathetic towards them. Or at least, they're not purely one-dimensional. They're not just, and that's something that kind of has happened a little bit in the Marvel movies. That as good as the Marvel movies are, the thing that they're fighting against has always been just a relatively flimsy excuse to get them together and do their stuff. Whereas actually now in this show, and even in the shows running up to this, particularly. Well, actually, all of them. So, Daredevil was fantastic with the Kingpin. Luke Cage was fantastic with a whole raft of bad guys there. Jessica Jones was fantastic with David Tennant. And actually, that's something that the TV shows seem to do a little bit better than the movies, which is to have well-rounded, interesting villains as well as the good guys.
I think so. Yeah. They have the more time and space to do it. You've got 2.5 or even 3 hours versus 8 to 10 hours or 13 hours, because you can have a whole episode where they focus on the backstory of, say, the Kingpin. You just can't do that in a film. You just haven't got the space and the time. And it's a slightly kind of connected note. The Watchmen film I thought was quite good. But now they're developing a TV series of it, which I'm kind of worried about, and just thinking I'm also a bit annoyed, but the same token, they could take the time to have an whole episode to just focus on one of the characters and say, this is why the comedian's such a git at the beginning, and at the end you go, okay, now I understand why he's like that, because we've seen all the traumas that he's gone through. It's not just 5 minutes or less than 5 minutes. Boom, 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 that's his origin story. Go! Yeah, that is still worrying, though, that they're doing that. It is.
Anyway,
yeah.
So on the subject of bad guys,
yep.
Let's pull out the big reveal.
Elektra.
Yes. So I went into the defence knowing almost nothing about it.
Right.
So it came as a surprise to me. But I'm guessing you already were aware.
No, well, no? Yes and no, because at the end of season 2, you see the fact that they've dug up a grave, and they've put her in that tank. And earlier in that season, they were draining blood from all these young people, and we've been told that when you kill some of the Hand, they come back, and we've seen it happen with several of the villains, and so the whole point was, okay, they're going to bring her back. We knew it was happening, but we didn't know when, and they've just sort of moved it around and brought it for this. So as soon as I saw that massive black thing with the symbols of Japanese symbols on, I thought, okay, right, yeah, that's what they're doing. She's coming back as the villain.
And this is, as somebody that understands a lot more about the comics than me, I'm guessing this is something lifted straight out of the comics, all the stuff to do with Black Sky and all of that.
I think the Black Sky is completely new,
Okay.
as far as I know. I could be wrong, but all of the hand stuff and Resurrection, that's all comics
Right.
from the comics. And she was brought back as well. That's also from the comics, that she was never truly an ally, never truly a villain, but then they brought her back and she was the head of the hand and all this kind of stuff. And a lot of the Frank Miller stuff ties into that with her. So they borrow certain bits from the comics, but not whole cloth.
Right. Which is kind of what they've been doing throughout, isn't it, I think?
Yes, they cross various things. So even the comic book fans aren't just sat there with a tick sheet going, yep, got that, yep, got that.
Yeah.
You know, otherwise it would just be boring, and they constantly surprise me, which is fantastic.
Yeah, and it's as somebody that knows a lot more about the comics than me, it's cool that it actually keeps you engaged, and I guess you don't see all the twists coming.
No. So my favourite character is still, and especially after this as well, is Daredevil. He's the stuff with him and Stick, as I said, and Scott Glenn was fantastic. That there's this twisted, demented relationship that they have, and he's sort of his father, but not really. He trained him and raised him, but not really. Then they've got this strange connection with Elektra, where she kind of loves him, and he really kind of loves her, because there's a couple of times he hesitates and he could have killed her, but he didn't. He's constantly telling Matty, she's not who you think she is, she'll kill you the first chance you get. But he's kind of contradicting himself, which shows that for all of his bluff exterior, for all of his talk of your emotions will get you killed, somewhere buried underneath him there is a heart. And yet he's so ruthless that he'll do whatever is necessary, because there's that point where he turns on them and it looks like he's going to rob the hand at whatever cost of their prize.
Yeah, and actually, it's those interactions has been some of the most gripping parts of the show to me. I love the whole. So first of all, Stick being permanently pragmatic is like, well, okay, if they need Danny Van for their plans, then we can just cut out all of the hassle just by taking him down ourselves. Yeah, it's like, sorry, dude, them's the breaks. Choice,
but that's it. Wait,
yeah.
What? Yeah.
So all of that, all of that stuff was brilliant, and how Daredevil feels about that is great. And then, like you say, he's got this sort of affection for Elektra, or at least this respect for Elektra. So he doesn't take the chances that he had, and then she just turns around and kills him.
Yeah, that was really shocking. I didn't think she was going to do it. I thought at the end she wouldn't, but she does. She just kills him, and it's such a shocking moment.
Yeah.
I mean, he's already cut off his own hand to escape.
Yeah. So that bit is so funny, where it's like, what happened? And he's literally just, I cut off my hand to escape. But he doesn't he didn't, if somebody else hadn't brought it up, he wouldn't have even mentioned it.
No. It's like, oh, okay, sure you did. He did as well.
It's just fantastic. Yeah, he's just so casual about it. He's just about getting the job done, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what needs to be done. Whether he has to kill, Iron Fist, whether he has to chop off his own hand. He's just about getting stuff done.
Yeah. He poisoned someone. He's done all these different things. Yeah. Just whatever is necessary to get the job done, because he's the last one of the chased. There's no one else. That's it. It's like, right, well, what's he going to do next? And you never know. You just never know with him. Yeah,
he was fantastic. I did love that. Was definitely the biggest laugh of the show for me. It was like, I'll just cut off my hand to escape. As if he's irritated by them wasting his time with this discussion when they've got more important things to talk about.
Yeah. So what was your kind of favourite fights? What were some of your favourite fights in this show?
Oh, there's so many of them. So this is where I need to come clean slightly, and I'm actually 30 minutes away from finishing it.
Okay.
So I haven't quite finished it, but the point at which I stopped in order for us to start recording oh boy, it seems to be coming to a massive climax, which is fantastic. So I've seen, so the cliffhanger at the end of 7 was brilliant, where we have Danny Rand waking up underneath that huge dragon skeleton, and now we're just at the point where they're sort of all back together again, and it's all about to kick off. So I think my favourite fight is going to be the one that I'm about to see once we've finished recording this. But I love... so many of them are so good.
The one of my favourite ones is quite early on. It's the one where the 4 of them fight together for the first time, where Danny's gone to try and sort it out as a businessman, and he walks into that meeting room and sort of says, I'm going to shut you down, and blah, blah, blah. And then they all just stand up and pull out batons, and it's like... Yeah. Oh, shit. What did you do? And he's in so much trouble, and Daredevil can hear the shot from the... She's like, what are you doing? He goes, there's a gunshot. Where? The penthouse. And so, how can you know that? That's so good that he races up the stairs, she gets the lift, and just goes upstairs. That's so good. She's like, you look ridiculous in that scarf. And then there's the bit where they're all fighting together in the room, and it looks like they're in trouble, and then the doors just burst open and Cage just walks in and he's like, you? Me. And the 4 of them fight together, and the 4 of them in the corridor. Absolutely fantastic. Those kind of moments are really good. I love the fact that despite all of them, to some degree or less, know what Daredevil can do, they're still constantly surprised by him. It's like Jessica Jones says, what do you mean you can smell that? And what? How can you hear that? And all these things that his senses are so sharp that he can pinpoint things, beyond what any other person can do. Those moments are just absolutely... I think they make the show for me.
Yeah, the interactions is what makes it great, and even the quiet moments are fantastic. So the very large chunk of an episode that just happens in the restaurant, with them kind of halfway through the miniseries where they're sort of taking stock, and actually that's where all of their characters start to come out a little bit. Even from the restaurant owner wants to get rid of them, and then he's just completely happy for them to be there, and Danny Rand's like, I just offered to pay his rent for 6 months, and that was like, they were happy with that, and all of those, just the way that the characters interact is fantastic. And like I said at the beginning, just that Marvel have been playing this long game and they managed to do it so flawlessly is just amazing.
Yeah. They took their time. They didn't rush any of it. And it's paid off. It's really paid off, and they set up a number of things in this show for all of them going forward. Because I've got theories, so maybe I'll say that to the end about what I think is going to happen next in the shows. But it's just I didn't expect a lot of what happened in the show, despite knowing some of where it was going. I liked the fact that we got to see all 5 people from the Hand.
Yeah,
explained a little bit more about where they came from and who they are. I'm sure they've changed stuff from the comics compared to what we saw on the TV show, because they always do. But I like the fact that we got 5 very different people and explained other characters that we'd seen before, but they'd been hinting at it. So this is where I can now kind of pull out some not spoilers, but some clues. So in Daredevil season 1, I think it was. Yeah, season 1? You saw Madame Gao, and you saw that she was working with all these blind people who were mules for her drugs, and all of them were stamped with a symbol. The symbol was the steel serpent, and that is a character from Kunlun and Iron Fist's mythos.
Yeah,
so
superb.
That was a hint early on, and the fact that she seemed incredibly spry and powerful for an old woman, that there was something more. I didn't think she was under the Hand, but I thought there was something unusual about her, and that she was connected to Kunlun, but I didn't know what. So that was a super early clue that they planted in Daredevil that paid off in this. There's things like that all the way through, that if you're paying attention and you go back and watch it now, you'd be like, wait, when did they... Oh, okay. Like the building that they built Midland Circle on. In Daredevil, we talked about the pit. We talked about what was on underneath it. We talked about the architect in Jessica Jones and in this. There's just so much, they've took the time, as you say, to build it.
Yeah, when they do things like that, it almost reminds me a little bit of Babylon 5, where you've got this long, not constructed quite as tightly as Babylon 5, but you've got this story that's playing out over many episodes and several years.
Yeah.
And right, series 1, episode 1, they're dropping little things in there that they know aren't going to be paid off for years' time.
Yes. True. Mm-hmm. They just really take their time and reward the readers, the viewers who've been there since the beginning, which I really appreciate as well when they do.
Yeah.
It's just showing the fans an appreciation to those who've been there since the beginning. I think it's a really good way to do it, and to keep the audience and a loyal audience.
Yeah, and one of the things that's great about it is that it's something that it's not just that Netflix are really forward thinking and are putting up the money for this sort of thing and producing it. The platform for Netflix is something that makes this sort of thing work.
Yeah.
Like, it's not something that it's on one week and then it sort of disappears and it's difficult to catch up. You can watch all of these things and then go back and sort of pick up the clues because of the nature of what Netflix is. It's not broadcast TV, which is sort of ephemeral. It's there and it's out in the ether. Then to some extent it's kind of gone until you can pick it up on DVD or something like that. Just the nature of the whole platform makes it so much easier and more appropriate for them to be able to drop in these clues, because it makes it possible for people to appreciate them in a way that actually live TV doesn't to some extent.
Yeah. I mean, TV's radically changed in the last 10 years, and I think in another 10 years it's going to change again, to the fact that I wonder if we're going to have scheduled TV. I mean, I don't watch anything when it comes out now. I wonder if we're just going to have scheduled drop dates instead of scheduled times for shows on some networks. I mean, we've already got Amazon, Netflix, a number of other companies are developing their own apps and networks and things. It's gonna change the way TV works even more so, and I wonder if we're going to move more towards the shorter seasons as well.
I really hope so, because it really does feel like these sort of 8, 12, 13 episode seasons can move things along in a much more natural pace than when people are being, back in the old days. I've just finished yet another rewatch of the whole of The Next Generation. We've got 26 episode seasons, and that's almost unimaginable nowadays. Whereas now, actually, if you're trying to tell a continuous story, in one complete season, sort of 8 to 12 kind of feels like the sweet spot. That you've got time to delve into all these characters and do really interesting things in such a way that they can't do in a movie that's like going to be 2 to 2.5 hours long, but also, they're not being forced to stick in tons of filler.
Yeah, and with everything being more expensive and more competition, it's almost like it makes more sense to do something shorter, tighter, and hopefully more eye-catching. We need 2 more episodes to get up to 22. Let's put something in. It's like, really? You're just padding it with more stuff. It's just... Anyway, so my predictions for what's going to happen.
Yes.
Then. So what they've... We're spoiling this, so we're not... I'm just guessing. At the very, very... Oh, actually, I can't say the very, very end because you've not seen it.
No, sorry. Don't worry about me. Okay. That's fine.
There's something at the very, very end, which is it's not a spoiler. They're setting it up for the next season of Daredevil.
Yeah.
That ties into a well-known comic book chunk of story from Daredevil. I won't say what it is because it doesn't really matter. But for that, when you get to it and those who know it, that's one thing. What happens to Misty is something that's set up for the next season of Luke Cage. I've got a theory. We know that Stick was the last member of the Chaste, and it seems like the Hand has been destroyed. I don't think they're gone completely. I
would agree with that, yeah.
To some degree or another, they'll always still exist because that's part of their nature. They seem to kind of always come back. I think the next season of, what it should be, of Iron Fist would be him rebuilding the Chaste so that there is a comparable force to fight the Hand, as they have done for centuries. Like Stick said, I joined, but I was just someone who joined it. They've been around for a long time. I think that's what the next season of that will be. Jessica Jones, they've set something up already at the end of season 1 of Jessica Jones. They don't really add much to her story with this one.
Yeah.
They talk about where her powers came from. They talk about Trisha a little bit, but not really in this. So I actually think the next season of Iron Fist could be better, but they're really going to have to work on his kung fu and also his dialogue.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was pretty painful. I mean, it's kind of telling that in the Iron Fist show, he was the least interesting character in that entire show. He was carried by everybody else. Like Colleen Wing was a fantastic character. Actually, there was some really great characters in there. It just wasn't Iron Fist. So this show did make me like him. And actually, as I sort of slowly began to realise that he was kind of the key character in all of this. I mean, not all of the other characters have loads to do, but he's the person that everything is being pinned on from a story point of view. I was like, oh dear, but it redeemed him. But he's still a really weak character.
He's still the most annoying of the 4.
He's still the most annoying of the 4, and the problem. So there's when you look at the Luke Cage show and the Iron Fist show, there's lots of parallels between those two stories, right? Because it's two people that have been away for a while, have developed powers. They're coming back to their home turf.
Yeah.
And they're having to deal with people that might be glad to see them back, not so glad to see them back, and are kind of on the face of it. There's loads of similarities between those two stories, but what's more interesting? Somebody that used to be a convict, who's been in prison and is now out of prison and is going back to Harlem and is trying to just make things right and make the community a better place, or like some preppy billionaire who's it's like the plot of Dallas, like Iron Fist, and that's it's just not a compelling, relatable story.
I think that's the key, relatable. If they'd focused a little bit less on the business side and more on the supernatural, I'm hoping they do that in the next season as well, because they're focusing on the Hand and the Chaste, and I really, really want them to bring in the other immortal weapons, because there again, some of them are bound to be more interesting than him. They sort of tease one of them a little bit, because he fights a woman called Mother of Spiders in his kind of series as part of his challenges, and she's one of the weapons, although they don't name her as that. And there are some other ones, and there's other hidden cities. So there's tons of stuff they can dig into and they can borrow, and they've already hinted at other Iron Fists before him, because we saw one in a video. We saw the people in the Defenders talk about them, like they say, "You're the dumbest Iron Fist I've ever met," a couple of times. I think Stick even says that. He says at one point, like, he's met a couple and this kid's dumb. They just need to work on him. They need to make him a more interesting character, less selfish.
Yeah.
I mean, Luke accuses him, rightly so, a couple of times in the Defenders of being a spoiled rich kid and not having a clue. And he's right. This guy's come from nothing and he cares more about the people. You're just on about, trying to beat up some kids. It's like, really, you shouldn't be beating up kids. It's, that's not right.
Yeah, I think they should just basically relegate him to being an extra in his own TV show. Like if Blake 7 can have half of its episodes without Blake, I think they can have Iron Fist without Danny Rand. That's my pitch. That's what I think they should go for.
Wow.
But we'll see. I'll still watch it. When it comes out again, I'll still watch it. I'm complaining, but I'm still going to watch it when it comes out.
Well, I think they've finished filming season 2 of Jessica Jones.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they're going to, or they either started or going to start soon, second season of Luke Cage. So that'll be, they're filming that at the moment. Mm-hmm. So the next one, we get Punisher this year, and then next year we should get Jessica Jones season 2, Luke Cage season 2, and maybe Daredevil season 3.
I mean, and just all of these things are now kind of in some ways the same show. So that's tons of episodes.
There's a rumor that they're going to bring in another show and another character, like another street level one,
right?
To keep it within the same kind of sphere. But there's no confirmations of who and when and what. But we've now got 5 with the Punisher.
Yeah, I can't wait for the Punisher. Obviously, it's never going to touch the Dolph Lundgren movie, but
yeah,
hopefully it'll get close.
Well, there's a trailer out for it at the moment, and it looks full on. It came out just the last day. Oh, it's proper R-rated, as it were.
There's no way you can't do the Punisher without it being R-rated.
They've done it, and it didn't work.
Yeah, well, true. Yeah.
Remember, it didn't work.
Yeah.
It was rubbish.
Mm-hmm.
So, I really, really enjoyed The Defenders. I was surprised by it, to be honest, a couple of times, and Daredevil was so good. And the fact at one point when he nearly kicks the shit out of Iron Fist, and I was like, he's going to win. He's going to beat you, Danny, because you're a whiny little bitch.
Yeah.
And he's really, really good. And Stick says he should be the general, not you. So... but anyway, I still enjoyed it despite Iron Fist.
Yeah, he was good. He redeemed himself. I just don't think he can. I liked him in this. Well, I didn't like him, but then again, you're not really meant to like him. I don't think all that much. But he's just not. He just can't carry his own show, can he? No. That's the thing. When he's one amongst 4 of them, you can kind of put up with him. Like I've had friends in the past that they're kind of okay if you're out in a group, but you would never go out for a drink, just like you and them, because it would be impossible. Like he's one of those people that it's like, okay, when he's around Luke, Jessica, and Matt, then I'm willing to put up with him being there. But when it's just me and him, I can't stand it. There you go. What a positive note to end on.
Excellent. No, but it was a good show. It was really well executed. I think it was worth waiting for as well. We've built up to it rather than do the other thing of just rushing it in and then trying to go backwards and do the individual shows, which is a mess and never works well. They've done it the right way. They've paid their dues. They've given you lots of clues all the way through, and then they all paid off in this final show. So. It's just got me fired up to watch the characters again and new stuff. I mean, you said you want to go back and rewatch them, so that's got to be a good sign.
Yeah, and there's nothing about this that is like Lost, where they were just clearly making it up as they went along. Everything about this says this. Everything that you're watching was planned years ago, and it really shows. It's so well done, so clever. Just storytelling aside, just the logistics of planting all of those seeds and having this long game plan is incredible. It's a brilliant piece of work.
Yeah, well worth it as well.
Yeah.
Cool. So, I guess that's it for this month. Next month, we're not sure what to talk about yet. We'll think of something. So if you want to get in touch with us, don't forget to come on to the Facebook group. You can also email us, grouchyoldgeeks@gmail.com. Come on to the Geek Syndicate website, geeksyndicate.co.uk, to follow us and all of the other podcasts on the Geek Syndicate network. And if you'd like to support this podcast and all of the others, then go to patreon.com/Geek Syndicate. There.
You're so good at doing that.
It's like we've been doing this for 10 years.
I know, but that can't possibly be true.
It sounds strange.
Yeah.
Indeed. So,
we're in it for the long game. Actually, this entire 10 years worth of podcast has been plotted out in advance. We're actually two actors. It's written by Barry Nugent.
We're planting seeds all the way through.
Exactly.
There's some red herrings in there if you go back and re-listen to the whole lot.
Yeah.
And in the meantime, it's good night from me.
And it's good night from him.
Good night.
Good night.